Hey guys, Nate Martin here with Auto Life. Today we're going to be talking about this beautiful 2019 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jeep history. We're going to talk about the interior and the exterior, and we're going to go for a drive, so stick around. As for interior, Jeep keeps it simple, which I appreciate. Nice steering wheel, kind of on the larger side if you ask me. A little bit of padding, a couple of buttons on the steering wheel, and a couple of buttons actually behind the steering wheel. This is actually the first vehicle I have driven that has buttons behind the steering wheel, so I thought that was kind of a neat feature that Jeep does. Nice gauge cluster, speedometer and odometer, nice and round. There's a little digital screen in the center that talks about or gives you mileage and fuel economy. Infotainment system is very simple, a couple of buttons, a couple of knobs. The vehicle kind of has that rugged feel to it, so these are some of the most versatile vehicles out there. You can drive these in the snow, in the desert, on the beach, whatever. And I think Jeep knows that the interior could get messy, so it kind of has that hard plastic feel to it, but at the same time, not too boring, not too bland. It's got a nice handlebar for the passenger to hang on if you're rock climbing or if you're going down a steep descent. And overall, I think the interior is probably a little tighter than you would expect. A little, if you're claustrophobic, I don't think this is the best vehicle to invest in, but it kind of has a snug feel to it. I like it preferably, but I don't think, if you're a larger person, I don't think this vehicle would be really right for you. As for storage, you've got a couple of cargo nets on the side door panels. Nice center glove box that was kind of a 2-in-1 glove box with a USB jack inside. The passenger glove box is actually on the smaller side, and that's something I'm a little disappointed with Jeep. I think Jeep kind of shortchanges you with your passenger glove box to make extra room for a speaker. All right, guys, we're going to go for a drive in this 2019 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. I'm going to kick her into gear. Just kind of looking out. Visibility is good. I'm driving around a big vacant parking lot. One of the first things you notice if you've never driven a Jeep Wrangler is the cabin feels pretty snug, I know Jeeps are kind of ex-military vehicles, and they've got a lot of heritage from the old CJ. CJ stands for civilian Jeep. The Jeep Wrangler first actually was introduced in 1986. And it was kind of a progression vehicle to pay homage to the World War II Jeeps, but it was supposed to be a more civilian-friendly Jeep for everyday type of drivers. And I think, this, as you know, there's so many Jeep lovers out there. I myself am not a Jeep fanboy, but I do respect the heritage that Jeep has and the fan base that Jeep has. Now, this specific vehicle just has normal tires on it. It does not have a lift system, and it does not have off-road tires. However, you do feel pretty high up. However, I drive a lot of sport cars and cars that are lower to the ground, so I'm not used to being this high up, so that I may be partially biased. but the car does feel fairly high up, so I can't even imagine what it would feel like with a big lift kit and special rugged tires on it. The way it drives, though, is fairly... I'm just kind of cruising at low speeds. I've had this car now for a couple hours, and I drove it on some normal city streets, but the Jeep drives fairly well. Fairly smooth, not too much drama. Earlier, I drove it on some gravel roads, and very, very comfortable. Definitely not a luxury car. You know that it has that kind of rugged feel to it, and that's really what Jeep is all about. Like I mentioned earlier, it's such a versatile vehicle where you can drive on so many different terrains, and the goal of this vehicle is to get to wherever you're going through whatever terrain that may be, whether it's sand, dirt, grass, rocks, water, I mean, you name it. This vehicle is going to get the job done. Let me talk about the engine a little bit. So Jeep offers two different variations of engines for the 4th generation Wrangler. The first is the inline 4 turbo, which this specific model has, and it actually produces 268 horsepower, which is a fair amount for a 4-cylinder, if you ask me. The the acceleration is pretty good. I was doing a couple of just small pulls around town, and the Jeep definitely gets up to speed. You can't compare it to a sports car or anything, but it definitely does the job. I think 0 to 60 is in the mid to high 6-second range. The V6 is I believe it's a Polestar V6, and that produces 285 horsepower if you need a little bit more horsepower. So acceleration is good. I think power is good. I was just doing some more driving on the dirt road, and it definitely gets up to speed off-road. That's for sure. A lot of fun. You know, if you own one of these, you can definitely have an endless amount of fun with these vehicles. All right, everyone, today's review has come to an end. Thank you for sticking around. The Jeep Wrangler Unlimited is definitely a lot of fun. As you could see, I got to drive it around do a little bit of off-roading in the snow, drove it on pavement. It's a very versatile vehicle, very fun vehicle. Not the most practical vehicle, but you kind of know that going in. Yes, you can get away with it if you've got a family and you've got dogs. But, you know, if you want the best gas mileage, that type of stuff, you're better off with going with kind of a more traditional, normal SUV, like the Grand Cherokee or the Durango, something like that. But the Wrangler is a lot of fun. These vehicles hold their value so well. That is one thing I didn't mention earlier, is that this is like one of the #1 resale vehicles. You can honestly buy one of these a couple years old and sell it a couple years later for pretty much the same price, which is pretty cool and kind of unheard of with a lot of vehicles that aren't collector cars. So that's something to think about. I think as far as an investment, definitely I wouldn't buy one brand new, but buy one maybe 4 or 5 years old and turn around and sell it for pretty much the same price a couple years later. That's what I would do for sure. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know what you think I should try to review next. Thanks, and have a great day.